To nobody's surprise, there's a rumor going on that Sony's going to be getting a massive, like gargantuan tax write-off because Concord failed so bad. They shut the company down. We are no longer with the company. Can we help you with something? I'm very sorry, Robert. I didn't mean to disturb you. Type of situation here. Yeah, we all know the failure that was Firewalk Studios. That was Concord. This rumor is alleging that Sony's getting a massive tax write-off after it shut it down. So, yeah, this is to be expected. I think Concord and Firewalk Studios is probably going to go down as one of the biggest gaming failures of all time. Of all time. I mean, millions of dollars, lots of development put into it, 8 years of development, and it didn't even last 2 weeks when it fully launched. Not even 2 weeks. Lots of money just burned. They might as well just put it in a barrel and just put it on fire. So, of course, YouTuber Endymion is the one who's sharing this info. Again, inside sources. Take it with a grain of salt. Speculation, but I think they've had a pretty good track record as of late, being correct with all their stuff. So, he says many of the devs at Firewalk were very confident that Sony would not cancel the game because of what the game represented for the company and the agenda at large. It's always about the agenda at large with them. Oh, our political and woke ideologies are what everybody wants to play. No, at the end of the day, Sony's going to shut you down if you make them lose money. All right? That's why it's called go woke, go broke. Corporate companies, especially ones that are primarily based in Japan, don't put up with your woke ideology bullshit. They don't care that you want pronouns. They don't care that you want characters to look gender neutral. They don't want terrible fucking sales numbers. And if nobody's playing your game, you're gone. Sorry. And I know all these wokey, oh, that capitalism sucks. Well, what tough shit. All right? Money makes the world go round. So it says Sony America assured Firewalk that they were safe and Concord could come back better than ever in the future. However, as I'm told, the reason why Concord did die and Firewalk was closed was because of Sony Japan. Again, Japan is where the power's at. During a company vote, Sony Japan overruled Sony America and rejected their proposition to allow Concord to be revived, claiming that the game was a massive failure and there was no reason to bring it back and waste more resources. Based Sony Japan W, can I get that? Based Sony Japan W. Again, you know, there's a difference between Japan and Western developers, all right? There's a clear contrast. For the most part, Western development teams now are run by a whole bunch of woke lunatics that don't understand how real business is run. And that's why they all fail. Now, there was that rumor that it was possibly coming back because there was like an update in the coding and that it was probably going to come back free to play. But Sony didn't even want to try. Japan nixed it. It's always going to be like a big what if this game came back as free to play after all of the, drama behind it, the cancellation. But that's not going to happen now. So Endymion said, instead, this has led to what their source was told to cause Sony in general to opt for a tax write-off for Concord and Firewalk instead. My source told me this write-off has led to Sony recouping somewhere between 25 to around 40% of the cost for Concord and Firewalk now that they wrote it off for a tax write-off. Not bad, actually. Sure, they're not going to get all of it back because that was a waste of money and time, but not bad. He goes on to say, so let's say they spent $400 million. They got about maybe $170 million-ish. I would wager more like $150 million, but it's somewhere in that range. Basically, Sony got back enough in that tax write-off to create 2 whole Ghost of Tsushimas in total. I don't even want to think about Ghost of Yotei. That one coming out. My God. As I'm told, this veto to not revive Concord and kill yet another project, it pushed Sony America to become very infuriated to no end. I'm sure they're very infuriated, guys, because their little woke project crashed and burned after all that investment in it. I'm sure they fucking got so heated over it. So continuing on, this is Sony shut down Concord less than 2 weeks after the game released. Only hit a peak concurrent player count of just 697, so they didn't even hit. They didn't even hit 1,000. And they spent millions of dollars again. Let me emphasize that. Millions of dollars, 8 years of development, because the game studio was just more focused on bullshit like a toxic work environment where the professor was the head honcho in charge and they had to comply with pronouns in the office and being inclusive and all this crap instead of making an actual video game. And I don't care who that triggers to say it. This is proof that companies like Sony want them to stop fucking around. They want companies to that, you know, that they're invested money in to get the job done or you're out. And that's how it fucking should be. That's 110% how it should be. So continuing on, it says game director Ryan Ellis announced the game was being shut down in a blog post. So this is what we covered when they shut it down, where they said, at this time, we decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th. Damn, it feels like it was just yesterday. It's been since September. And then in October, the Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO said that Sony was shutting down Firewalk Studios. So it was such an epic fail. And at the time, they said they spent considerable time these past months exploring other options. After much thought, they determined the best path forwards to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. So they didn't even want to try. They didn't even want to fucking try. That's pathetic. Saying the PvP first-person shooter genre is a competitive space that's continuously evolving, and unfortunately, we did not hit our targets with the title. Yeah, you beyond didn't hit your targets when you maxed out in, like, not even 1,000 players. And this isn't the only fail that we've had over here. I mean, look at how bad Dustborn fucking failed. Like, how do people think this is what gamers want? When you have all these shill journalists and shill fucking wokies on the internet. Oh, well, you the modern audience, and the modern audience doesn't exist at all. And oh, well, the casual gamer doesn't care about DEI and how it bothers. No, the casual gamer does. That's why Firewalk Studios is dead now. That's why studios are closing down at an alarming rate. Every studio that's touched by a consulting company or some kind of wokeness in some kind of form and fashion has almost completely failed. This year has been like the year of the failure with video games that are leaning towards all this bullshit. And you love to fucking see it, honestly. Now, continuing on, it says it was rumored that it cost around $400 million to develop Concord, even before any marketing cost. I mean, that's fucking mistake number one. Take all wokeness aside. Why are video games so high in budget now? It says former IGN writer Colin Moriarty claimed that the original owner of Firewalk Studios, probably Monster, spent $200 million developing the game before they eventually sold the game and Firewalk Studios to Sony. And then Sony spent another $200 million in development, with Moriarty claiming when the game had $200 million spent on it and was basically in alpha form in Q1 of 2023. From that point until the game launched, Sony spent another $200 million on it. Why so much money, dude? That's what I don't get. Like, so much money to make something that looked so bad. Like, it looked terrible. Nothing about this game screamed like fun. I don't understand. Just looking at the character designs, the gameplay, like I looked at it and I said, oh boy, I could give two rats' asses about this game. All wokeness aside. Now, continuing on, this says former Dragon Age director Mark Dara crunched the numbers and came to the conclusion that the $400 million project budget was definitely possible. He concluded, I think we can make it plausible that it did, certainly for a game with this relatively small scope. It's hard to see where all that money went. It would have had to have been lost in iteration. It would have had to have been lost in inefficiencies due to team structure or massive team sizes. Like we just went through, I think you could make the math work and it might represent reality. It's also possible the sources providing this number are exaggerating or misinformed or getting their math wrong in some other way. So I'm certainly a lot more willing to believe this number than I was before I started this exercise. I still don't know for sure that 400 million is the actual number. It definitely lost hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars. And Sony got a nice little write-off on this game. I mean, look at this character. This is, I forget this character's name, but this is what we had in the fucking game. Like, I bought a physical copy as soon as the same day that they said they were shutting down. I went out. I spent $40 on a paperweight because it's such an epic, like, failure that doesn't happen in the video game industry that often. It really doesn't. So I had to capture a piece of that history. And you know what's funny is other studios still haven't learned their lesson from this. You know, you got EA and BioWare with Dragon Age that has completely been a failure. You got Assassin's Creed Shadows coming out where, you know, it was already delayed and the CEO said they would have to sell a lot of millions of copies even to return a profit. This is bad news lately for the gaming industry. So 400 million plus woke disaster that's going to be a tax write-off. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Subscribe if you're brand new. I'll see you on the next one as I try not to hiccup. Woo! Peace out.